All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music and just all kinds of other stuff and doing it in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So John Corabi, former Motley Crue lead vocalist who replaced Vince Neil back in 1992, is a little ticked off at the whole Pam and Tommy Hulu mini-series, which I've been told is like softcore pornography. Ex-Motley Crue singer John Corabi blasts Pam and Tommy, says it's so full of BS, it's ridiculous. Now, one thing I like about John Corabi is he's more about the music. He's less about all of the gossip and all the craziness and, you know, the Pam and Tommy leaked tape. That was a big deal back in the mid-1990s. The premise is somebody stole the tape and then they sold it to someone else who then put it out there, and the tape made like millions of dollars in a very short period of time because everybody wanted to see it. But Corabi says, okay, just my opinion here. He went on social media to say this, and good for him. The Pam and Tommy miniseries on Hulu is so full of BS, it's ridiculous. I can honestly say about 98% of it is a fictional take on TNP's life, and it's criminal. He says, I shared 5 years of my life with Tommy, and although it was at times insanity, it's so overblown in this, what they call TV entertainment. Tommy never walked around in a Speedo, didn't act at all the way they portray him. And this really ticked him off. Third Eye Blind was portrayed as bumping the band from studio time. In other words, both of these bands were on the same record label at the time, and the producer of the series took the liberty to write this into the script and say, hey, Motley Crue, they're not relevant anymore, so we'll have Third Eye Blind bumping them from the studio. Now, as part of my recollection of the early 90s, there was some interesting stuff happening at record labels where they would have posters of metal bands that were all over the place. And then the next week you'd go back and you'd see, you know, like Stone Temple Pilots and whoever else, Pearl Jam. They had basically replaced all of those bands with the new promotional materials, and they were sending a message to everybody who was in the business saying, hey, we're going in this new direction now. And the fans, I can tell you, the fans in the early 90s weren't really ditching these bands. Yeah, they were maybe not putting out their best material at that moment, depending on who it is. But you had newer bands like Firehouse, Mr. Big, Giant, Danger. There's 4 off the top of my head who really got the shaft because of this new great music that was going to take over. Apparently, Hulu and all involved in this crock don't care. This is a good point he's about to make. This is John Corabi. They don't care about how Pam may feel to have to relive this, or how Tommy's new wife may feel, or how Tommy's boys seeing this completely overblown story, how they may feel. Shame on everyone involved. John Corabi ended his message by including 4 middle finger emojis. So you get confirmation from the producer that they wrote the Third Eye Blind thing in. It didn't actually happen. The singer from Third Eye Blind said, yeah, I don't even live near this band, and I recorded in Northern California, and they didn't record in Northern California. They recorded probably down in Los Angeles. So he's never met Motley Crue. So it's interesting. They say here in this article that the series focuses on the duo's salacious relationship in the 1990s, including the leak of the private honeymoon video and the legal battle that ensued. The couple, who divorced in 1998, share 2 sons, Brandon, 24, and Dylan, 22. So to Corabi's point, I think it is rather pathetic that they're going to relive this stuff. But folks, we know this. We know what this is about. They had the Dirt biopic that came out a couple of years ago, and that was supposed to be a launching point for this stadium tour. The Dirt is even more, well, I haven't seen this new thing, but I did watch the Dirt, and that was a little rough. That was a little tough to watch. I don't know. They portray it in a way that makes these guys just look like they're predators 24 hours a day. And I don't know if that was the case. I wasn't there. I'm sure there were moments where they behaved that way, but it was just all out insanity. Nobody from the Motley Crue was like, hey, the Dirt, that's not really accurate. A lot of this stuff did happen. Corabi didn't like the Dirt. He goes on to talk about that. He was name checked in there. He said his portrayal in the movie was pathetic. It really made me look like I was ticked off at the guys all the time. So, it wasn't designed to highlight John Corabi. And John Corabi is not the singer of this band anymore. Vince Neil is back. They've got this big stadium tour they have to try to power through. I'm going to use that term. Vince Neil still trying to get into shape for the tour. And I think they just added 10 more dates. Thankfully, they have Def Leppard and Joan Jett and Poison on for the ride. I prefer all three of those bands over Motley Crue. I do like Motley Crue, but they've built themselves as the headliner between the Dirt and this Pam and Tommy thing, which is going to generate more interest in the band, not necessarily their music, but their persona. And this is the way social media works today. All these streaming services, they put out like one documentary that you have to subscribe to this at least for a month to watch this. And that's the new strategy. It's almost like, hey, pay for this movie, and then if you want to quit, you can quit. Or maybe you get hooked on the channel and you keep it. So all of this is publicity, and most of it is geared toward the upcoming tour where, yes, they'll make lots of money. I'm pretty certain that Tommy and Pam are probably making money off of this Hulu thing. I haven't been told otherwise. You would think that they would have to give their permission for them to do this. And quite honestly, even if it's somewhat fictitious, it's still going to generate publicity and interest. And both Pam and Tommy, this is what, 30 years later, 27 years later. I don't know. I think it's probably a good career move for them in that sense that they're getting more exposure, no pun intended. In any event, folks, go if you want to and watch this. I've heard it's rather unwatchable in places. And it's certainly something that if you have children around the house, you don't want them near the television if you're watching it. At least John Corabi was concerned about other issues here, and good for him for doing that. I think he's a class act, and in a way, he might be too good for the guys in Motley Crue. I think he's more old school classic rock, and like his work in the Dead Daisies and his solo projects, I think show that he's not that, heavy metal glam rock singer. I mean, maybe he is, but I think he's got other interests. And I don't know if Motley Crue really, if they ever had those types of interests. So, yep, that's my video on the topic. Motley Crue, John Corabi fighting, good publicity for everybody. And that's pretty much the name of the game with all this stuff, is just keep talking about it, and more people are going to click on it, and they're going to watch it, and they're going to subscribe to Hulu, and it's going to sell more tickets for the stadium tour. I mean, it's all by design, people. It's not really stupid business. It's actually really smart business. But is it moral? Is it decent? Is it wholesome? No, it's the farthest thing from all of those. All right, I am done with this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Got new subs coming on board. Got a couple of new patrons as well. You can check out my other channel as well if you go to the banner and click on one of the YouTube logos that will take you away to a place very similar to this, except I talk straight up politics, current events, and other related issues. See you soon.